Hi guys, welcome back to the High Grade podcast. It's your girl Shinnel
and Shannel.
And no, we are not joking. So today's episode, this is our first proper episode per se. So you've already gotten to know us. You know, we've shared some really deep things with you guys, and now we're really just going to get, you know, stuck into the really juicy hot topics. And the topic of conversation today is all about the virus of opportunity. So, Shan, when I say that, what does that mean to you?
Well, the virus of opportunity, obviously we're in lockdown because of the coronavirus, and it just makes me think of the debate that I see everywhere on social media. Should we be using this time that we have off productively or not?
Yeah.
Well, I'm 50-50 on it.
Okay. Tell me why.
Well, just to sum it up before we go a bit deeply, if you've been putting off something for a while and you're not using this opportunity to act on it, then you are missing a vital time, because we are probably not going to get a pandemic again in our lifetime. But I also think that you need to just know what your goals are and what you want from life, and if you're happy with where you're at, then use the time to relax.
I think for a lot of people, you know, particularly myself, when you're in the motion of life, and I think I should call it something, but you're just like in this rift where you're just literally coasting through life, and you know, you're in such a routine. You go to work, you come home, you do whatever you need to do at home, and then you sleep, and then you wake up again, and then it's like the weekend is so short-lived. You're probably so busy on the weekend that actually you don't even have a moment to just breathe. And if amongst that coasting through that rift of life, an idea might have popped up in your head, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an idea that's tangible like a business, or you want to create something. It can just be an idea that you might want to start a habit. And I think if you are that person who's experienced that thought and actually you haven't brought that thought out into fruition, then I think you're absolutely, like you said, missing out on such a huge opportunity. Because, you know, a lot of the time, like I've even said to myself, oh, I'd really love to start a business, but I just don't have the time to even think about it. And lo and behold, you know, coronavirus hits. We're 9 weeks in almost. And actually we've sort of started this podcast, and we are, you know, we're on our way to getting our first client for our other business that we're starting up. And I think if you're not using this time, we're never going to get this back again. And I think a lot of the time we pray for time.
It's our most valuable asset.
Like I wish I just had a week off, or I wish I just, you know, could sleep for a couple of days, do nothing, and then I'd be revitalized, I'd be re-energized, and then I can just do what I need to do. And actually, if you think about all of the times that you wished for time, and now we've had it or still got it, and you haven't done anything, or nothing's made you better during this time period, I think it's a huge opportunity you missed.
I completely agree. Like you said, a lot of the excuses or the reasons that are given by a lot of people is, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I work a full-time job. I have children. I look after the house. I look after the dog. I don't have time. So you wish for time and you've got it. And if you haven't done anything with this time, then I do think that it is a little bit of a missed opportunity, because like we said, we're not going to get this time again. I'd be very surprised if this happened again in our lifetime. And if you are sitting there thinking, this is me, I've wanted to start a business for ages, or I've wanted to develop a new habit, I've wanted to make a bit more money, I've wanted to get a new promotion, and you're sitting there thinking, this is me, I haven't done anything, then be reassured that you're probably not the only one, and it's also not too late. We don't know how much of lockdown we have left. So if this is you, then from today, do something. I don't know if you know, Chanel, but a really interesting fact that I came across was Isaac Newton actually discovered gravity during a pandemic.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some scientist or some some geek out there that's probably going to discover something during lockdown. But I think this really resonates with me because I've just started to recently read a book called Atomic Habits, and it's quite weird because since I started reading it, I've been seeing it everywhere. And it's this book by James Clear. I'm only a chapter in, but the main sort of gist of the first chapter is about this concept called marginal gains. He likens it to the British cycling team where they got a new manager or a coach, and this coach essentially dissected every element of the team down to the shape of the bicycle seat, down to the type of material that they wore on their clothes, down to the type of massage gel that they used to determine how quickly the cyclist could recover. And I think he broke it down into such a minute detail that every single time he figured something out, he got just that bit better. And it's, again, the idea of marginal gains. And I think even if, like we said, you know, you haven't started a business in lockdown, or you haven't finished that business plan or that book, even if it's something that's like a habit where you want to be maybe more mindful every day, or you want to meditate, or whatever it is, you know, that a habit can be different for different people. And he says that actually if you just become 1% better every day, and you just do something every day that, you know, contributes to your development, at the end of a year, you'll actually be 37 times better. And I think that's so powerful. For example, like yourself, you read quite a lot. Your goal is how many books?
50 books.
50 books this
By
year.
the end of the year, yeah.
And you've read how many?
Oh, I think I'm on 18.
Okay, you're doing so well in terms of your books. But, you know, for a lot of you, like I know I don't have the luxury of reading because I drive to work, I drive home, and when I'm at home, I'm just not in the right mental capacity to read. But actually, if you're just reading 10 pages a day just before bed, or even if it's 5 pages a day, at the end of the year, you may have read 12 books, 1 book a month. And actually, the knowledge that you would have gained from reading all of those books would have made you a much better person compared to at the beginning of the year. So I absolutely think that, you know, now is the time to put something into action and just get done, basically.
Basically, summing it up, I think that sometimes people want something.
Mm-hmm.
They know they want to start a business, or they know that they want to do something with their life, but they have this time and they're still not using it. Why do you think that may be?
I think maybe it's just because people just don't know where to start. I think a lot of the time it's potentially just an idea in your head, or you may have even dreamt about it and it's just a figment of your imagination. But it's the process of how do you turn the idea into something that makes sense. So I think a lot of the time people just don't know how to necessarily go about exploring or researching into something that they've just thought of. And actually, you know, just speaking to some of my kids at sixth form, a lot of them have even said in its simplest form that they'd love to learn more about money management, but actually they just don't know where to start. And if that's someone who's 17, 18 who's saying that, I can only imagine someone who's 28, 26, for example, wants to start a business. The business is, you know, it's a niche product. There's nothing out there already. Where do you start?
Yeah. I think, yeah, you've pretty much summed it up. I think also what I would add to that is maybe just a lack of direction and also a lack of goals. Sometimes, you know, you want to, I don't know, start a new healthy habit, but if you're not listing that process of how to get there, I don't think you can be successful by being ad hoc.
Yeah.
And like you said, it could be just that lack of knowledge and they just don't know where to start. So what advice would you give to someone that doesn't know? They know they want to do something. They've got this time. There's no more excuses they can use other than they just don't know where to start.
I think just obviously taking what you said, I think definitely listing out what it is that you want to achieve. And I think being very intentional with the goals that you're setting. So I was reading something this morning and it says a goal that's written down is 40% more likely to be achieved. And it's, you know, one of my good friends actually said that she told me that there's such power in actually writing down goals in your own handwriting, because I think a lot of the time we tend to, you know, write down our goals in our notes, and I'm a victim of that because in my phone I've got all of the things that I want to achieve at the end of the year. But actually, if you write that down, you can see it in your own handwriting and you put it somewhere that you can see every day, then that's your daily reminder that, hey, look, I need to become better. But I know you're like a huge fan of goals and you always sort of sit down and revisit them. Tell us sort of like your experiences with goals and where or how people should start.
Oh, that is a good question. Caught me off guard. Yeah, so like I said, for me, I write my goals every year. The beginning of the year, I know it's a bit cliche about new year, new goals, but as well as writing the goals, I don't write them and then put them away to never be seen again. I'm continuously getting them back out, revisiting them, changing them if needed, because a lot can happen in days, months, weeks.
Absolutely.
So at the beginning of the year, I wrote down my goals. They've changed since lockdown. So obviously since lockdown, we've kind of taken the leap of faith and got out of our comfort zone to try and start a venture together. So obviously I've had to add that to the goals. I think the easiest way to do it is just to sit down in a quiet room and just think to yourself, if you could have the perfect life, what would that look like to you?
As in like someone's perfect day, so from the moment they woke up to the moment they went to bed, what does that look like?
Yeah, so what does your perfect day look like? What does it smell like? If you visualize everything, it becomes so much more real. Almost imagining yourself, so sit in the lounge, put the TV on and go and put yourself into that TV and watch how your perfect life would be, your perfect day, what you want, what tangible things you want, what person you want to become. And write it down, like you said, write it down in your own handwriting. But also what I found helpful is having a vision board. But again, not a vision board that you make and you never see it again. It's in my bedroom, on my wall, next to my mirror, because every time I look in the mirror...
I have to actually jump in here because I made a vision board and it's in the garage.
Do you go in the garage very often?
No.
There you go.
So yeah, like, again, like we said, like, you know, definitely want to be real with all of you guys. And on my phone, rather than having a vision board, my display picture on my phone has all of the nice things that I want. So I guess that kind of acts as my vision board because of the time when I wake up, I can see my phone. By the time I go to bed, it's the last thing I look at. So maybe that can be a sort of alternative for people that don't necessarily want to print out pictures or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. And I think you have to be excited about your goals. If they don't excite you, if you're not motivated, if it doesn't give you that shiver down your spine when you think about what your life is going to be, then your goals are not big enough. They should be very, very ambitious but achievable. But it should push you. I don't want to have a goal that I'm going to, I don't know, go for a walk every week. I know that's really weird, but it's just the only thing that came into my head. Because that doesn't push me. I want a goal to be in Forbes magazine and to be a multi-million-pound business owner. Like, that is my goal, and it's very, very ambitious. It is very, very out there, but it pushes me every day to be better. So again, I think just to sum it up, write your goals down very, very clear. Feel your goals in your heart. Live your goals and just revisit them as much as you can. Change them, adapt them, and just get excited about them.
I think I would urge people, I think where, you know, the UK is sort of moving in the direction where things look like they're easing, I think even if you're not, you know, in a position now to, you know, start a business or explore this idea that you might have in your head because maybe you've got to go back to work, I think maybe spending the day actually just reflecting and writing down these goals will be an excellent use of this lockdown period, because actually, you know, you don't have anything tangible out of it, but actually you've got a much clearer vision and picture of what it is that you want to achieve in the next 3 months or 4 months. And then that way you feel like actually this time during lockdown hasn't been wasted. But I also think as well, like, if we just flip the coin, I'm 100% a go-getter. Every day I want to do my best. You know, I get up at 5:30, I get to work at 7. I don't get home sometimes till 7 p.m. So like 12 hours of the day I'm out. And then I come home, I cook, clean, sort out the house, sort out the dog. Yeah, typical life or whatever. Whatever. But that's what people do. That's
normal.
Yeah, that's normal. And so what if actually you've been so productive outside of lockdown that actually now this time period has come, you're just like, no, I don't want to do nothing. In fact, I just want to sit down on the sofa and binge everything on Netflix and do absolutely nothing.
That's okay. That is absolutely okay. Who are we to say that's not okay? Who is anyone to say that is not okay? You do you. You do you, boo. And do anything that makes you happy. If your goal is to relax, let yourself have some time off to reward the hard work that you've been putting in, then do it. Don't let anyone make you feel...
I think that's also a way of bettering yourself though, isn't it? Yeah. Because if you're just...
You can't go at 110 miles per hour all day, every day. Don't look at us and think, oh yeah, they started a podcast. Like, they've been productive. Because I've had days where I haven't left the sofa. Ice cream tub in one hand. Yeah. Packet of Doritos in the other. Watching Money Heist. So there's days I haven't done anything, and I needed it because if you work 110 miles per hour every day, all day, you'll just burn out. And I actually heard a really, really good story once, and this is really off the cuff, so excuse me if I don't remember it correctly, but I read somewhere that this guy had been going full throttle at his goals every day, all day, and didn't have one day off. Okay. He was so determined to get to where he needed to be, working very, very hard, like 20 hours a day, not sleeping, and he experienced a burnout where he went to the hospital and they told him, if you do not stop and have a break, you're going to make yourself ill. He was like, no, it's fine. I'm fine. I need to get to this place in my life. Kept going. And he actually had to take 2 years off.
I think this is ringing a bell.
I don't know where I got it from, but I'm definitely not making it up.
No, it's definitely ringing a bell.
Yeah, where he had to take like 2 years off because he didn't have a break. And I don't think that you can even make large steps in your life without having a break, because having a break lets your mind rest, your body rest, but it also gives you some really key reflection time. Absolutely. Where you just sit down and you think, okay, what's going well, what's not going well, where can I kind of improve, and am I on the journey towards where I need to be?
Yeah, I think in teacher speak as well, that's like what went well, but even better if. So when I'm marking essays, I go www, this is what you did well, but actually it's even better if you do this. Having that time period where you can reflect is absolutely important. But I think a lot of the time we are really influenced by what we see on social media. So a lot of the time, I'll be on my phone scrolling on Instagram and you'll see this person with like a to-do list that they've ticked off and they've been so productive, or so-and-so's done this during lockdown. And I think it almost exudes an unnecessary amount of pressure on people to have to feel like they need to get things done. And I think even if actually you're using this time to just be one with yourself, enjoy your own company, get back in touch with old friends, or just be with your family without the distractions of everyday life, actually when you come out of lockdown, to me, you're a better person anyway. So like we said, it doesn't have to be something that's tangible, but something where at the end of it, you can look back on the time that you spent in lockdown and say, oh yeah, do you know what? Time well spent.
Yeah, I think that is exactly it. You've summed it up. Time well spent, whatever that means to you. I think that it's just another trend, essentially.
What is?
This whole being productive during lockdown is a trend. So was Sleepers for the Week. I don't know if you've heard that one, or the 5 a.m. club. All of these kind of negative.
It's like they're sort of hashtags almost, where it's like you've got to be part of this movement if you're to be successful. Like you have to wake up at 5 a.m. You've got to do XYZ. You can't really sleep. If you do sleep, it's like 2 hours and you're up again, and that's the only way that you're going to be successful. And I think a lot of these things put undue pressure on people to conform to, if I'm successful, or if I'm to be successful, I have to be this person, when actually it might not even be in your biological nature to have to be that way inclined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. That makes complete sense to me, especially when you refer to being your biological nature, because I actually tried the 5 a.m. club. I got sucked into the pressure of getting up at 5 o'clock because I never did. I always am an early riser, but never 5 o'clock. I've never wanted to get up at 5 o'clock to go and do work in whatever shape or form that may be. When I started seeing everyone post about this 5 a.m. club, and if you don't get up at 5, I think there's a book even called the 5 a.m. club.
I think there's quite a whole host of books, because I actually read something called The Miracle Morning. So it was recommended by a friend of mine, and it's an amazing book. But he essentially says that, you know, the most successful people in the world, they wake up way earlier than they need to, and they do these hosts of rituals. And I started doing it, but actually where I have to wake up so early in the morning, so I'm up at 5, I found myself waking up at 4:30 just to do this ritual. So it was, you know, meditation, writing in a journal, yoga, having a cup of coffee, and just like being alone in your own company. And then I just found that I was exhausted.
Yeah.
By the time I got home, like my brain just even thinking about it now, I just don't even know what I was thinking trying to implement that. And I think the teachings in the book are great, but you have to implement it where it fits in your life.
Yeah, 100%. Because as I was going to say, the 5 a.m. club, I tried it, but I could not do it. I was just waking up more tired and being less productive than I normally was. But I was just doing it because of the pressure and the pressure of what society told me I needed to do to be successful. And I actually recently found out about chronotypes. I don't know if you know much about it, but I did a quiz called The Power of When. We'll add it to the show notes for you, and if you want to do your own. And it works out what your biological rhythm is in terms of your sleep-wake cycle. So there's 4 animals they characterize you in. You've got bear, lion, dolphin, and the wolf. I am the bear, so I sleep the sun cycle. So when the sun's up is when I rise. When the sun goes down is when I go to sleep.
Yeah.
That is not 5 o'clock in the morning in the winter. The sun is not up at 5 o'clock in the winter. It's pitch black. Bears also get tired after lunch. So post lunch, they have a bit of a dip. I do like a nap, but after I've had my lunch.
Yeah.
And the 5 a.m. club tells you not to sleep. So I used to feel really bad until I actually realised I'm going against my own biological rhythm. And surely that's not healthy. So the 5 a.m. club and let me just do what I know what works best for my body and what works best for me. And it's the same as being productive during lockdown. If it works good for you, then fantastic. I think, like I said, if you have planned to do something but you haven't had time, then I definitely recommend that you do it. But if you don't want to do anything,
I think each to their own, isn't it? Because I think the idea of being better and self-development is different to everyone else. So I think for someone who works really long hours and doesn't necessarily spend a lot of time with their family, if you're doing that during lockdown, then actually at the end of it you are going to be better. That's your version of self-development. But actually if you're someone who, you know, usually on a day-to-day is quite lazy, and actually you've just said, I just need a period of time where I can just commit a whole week to this one thing, then use that time and commit to that one thing. And I think the only person you let down if you're not using this time is yourself.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to fall victim to the pressure, or to, you know, feel like you have to conform to a particular type of way, especially during lockdown. But as long as you're happy with the time that you've spent, and you can look back and say, yeah, you know, I don't regret not doing X.
I think that you've summed it up perfectly in saying I don't regret X. If you are not going to regret doing nothing, then who are we to tell you should be doing something? But don't regret this massive opportunity in time that you've been given, because we won't get it back.
Yeah. And I think as well, a lot of people in your circle might be doing stuff and have a tangible outcome, but I think don't feel pressured to have to explain yourself to anyone. As long as you're happy with your decision and you know exactly why you've done what you've done, then that should be enough. And, you know, if there's a sort of voice in your head that says, why aren't you doing anything? Then that should be like the kick up the arse to say, oh yeah, maybe I should do something. And if you're saying, well, I don't even have a voice in my head, that's the voice in your head. And I think if I just sort of break it down, I love doing this when I'm teaching lessons, and I do like a countdown to exams. So we've actually had 9 weeks in lockdown. That equates to 63 days. It takes 66 days to build a habit per se. So you'd be 3 days short of creating a new habit, whether that's going for a run every morning or reading 5 pages or being mindful in the morning. As long as you're happy with that, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if you're sitting there thinking, I've wasted so much time, I should have done something, then it's fine. we still have time of lockdown left. We're not going to be out raving anytime soon, so you still have time to do what you need to do to form a habit, to get rid of a habit. Just make yourself happy.
And I think definitely want to repeat what we said earlier, which is touching on sort of setting goals. I think if nothing else, then set some goals.
They're so powerful, and until you've done them, you don't realize how powerful they are.
But I think maybe what might be helpful is if we have maybe a template for people that they can download. So if we do create something, when we do create something, and you feel like this goal setting template will be helpful for me, and it's probably, we're not creating something new, we're not reinventing the wheel, it's just a process or method that we use that works for us. And if you feel like do you know what, I need to start somewhere, then if we can provide you with that start, then absolutely amazing. I think we'll put a link somewhere, maybe here or there or down there, or wherever you call it, show notes or description, whatever it is. I think we'll definitely provide you guys with something.
And if you have any tips, if you've done some goals and done them really well and you want to share with other people to help each other grow, then again, email us
or send us a DM
on Instagram, and we'll happily share them in an episode.
Absolutely. So I think, Shan, if we're going to sum this up in no more than, I say, 2 sentences, what's the one thing you want the audience to take away?
Oh, you always give me these questions. I'm not prepared. So in 2 sentences, what I want the audience to take away from this. I think 100% set some goals and know where you want to go in life. And then I think that will determine what you should or should not be doing in this time. And don't let anyone, whether that's us, what you see on social media, your mum, your dad, your friend, don't let anyone tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. You don't owe an explanation to anyone but yourself. So do what you want to do. That
was more than 2 sentences.
Well, I live life against the rules. Actually, wait, let's throw it back at you.
Okay. I would say just do you. Just do what makes you happy. No, that's not what I would say. No. What I would say is, if lockdown was over, would you be happy with the time? No. Would you be happy with what you've done during this time? Let me say that again so it's all in one sentence. If you look back on lockdown and you've said, yep, you know what, I'm happy with this time. No, that's not what I want to say. Flip's sake.
This is why it's unfiltered, unprepared. We're keeping that in.
What I want to say is, I'm the one editing, so it's going. Okay, so my piece of advice would be, if you look back at this time spent during lockdown and you would be happy with all of the things that you have done or maybe haven't done, then that's fine. But if there's even a doubt in your mind where you think, oh, I'm not even too sure, then I think you need to sit down, do the goals, and figure out what it is that you want, and then how you can use this time to then contribute to whatever that goal is. And again, when we say goals, it doesn't mean like start a business. A habit can be a goal. I think if you're new to the goal setting thing as well, maybe start small and then see how powerful that can be. And then you can then, expand on that and then set the more ambitious goals, but definitely start somewhere. So yeah.
And that was definitely more than 2 sentences.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you in the next episodes.
Remember, rate, review, and subscribe.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's good. That's good. No, Shin. Oh. Keep forgetting. That was so good.
Jesus Christ, you put on weight, haven't you?
Fuck off, you bitch. Just in the booty where it's important.
I feel blind almost.
Do you? You got your contacts?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to read if I didn't have them on.
That is so funny. That is so funny. That is so funny.
Ready?